Good day everyone, my name is Cruz together with my partner Mary Del Mundo, and today we will be discussing about Cubism. Definition: Cubism was a total game changer in the early 90s. Instead of painting things to look real from one angle, artists broke objects down into geometric shapes and showed several different viewpoints, all at once in a single picture. It grew out of a style called Cubism, which used wild, bright colors like the work of Franz Marc. But Cubism took it a step further by breaking the traditional rules of how space and depth are shown in art.
Cubism officially emerged in Paris, France around 1907. It was pioneered by two legendary figures, the Spanish artist Pablo Picasso and the French artist Georges Braque. This was a massive departure from the realistic representation and linear perspective that had dominated European art for centuries. Two major influences shaped this style. Paul Cézanne, known as the father of us all, his later works reduced natural forms into cylinders, spheres, and cones. African tribal art, Picasso was particularly captivated by the style's non-naturalistic form of African mask. In fact, Picasso's Les Demoiselles d'Avignon from 1907 is widely considered the first major Cubist work.
Factors that led to the movement. Three big things made Cubism happen. First is Paul Cézanne's influence. He famously said, "Nature should be treated as cylinders, spheres, and cones," which gave the Cubists a mark for their abstractions. Second, African and oceanic art. When masks and artifacts from other cultures arrived in Paris, Picasso was fascinated by their expressive, non-realistic shapes. Lastly, the Picasso-Braque duo. These two worked so closely together that they called their partnership a laboratory, constantly pushing each other to see how far they could break an image before it became unrecognizable.
First, industrialization and modernization influenced the style as cities and technology rapidly changed in the early 1900s. Artists reflected the fast, complex modern world through fragmented shapes and multiple perspectives. Second, colonial influence and cultural exchange played a role. Cubist artists were inspired by African art brought to Europe during colonial expansion, which also raises issues about cultural appropriation. Third, political instability and World War I affected the movement, as the tension and uncertainty of the time were reflected in the broken and abstract forms of Cubist works. Lastly, Cubism later became a tool for anti-war expression, especially in Picasso's Guernica, which protested violence and war.
Influential persons or significant artists and their works. The pioneers. Firstly, Pablo Picasso. As a co-founder of the movement, he moved part away from realistic representation and introduced the use of multiple perspectives within a single frame. His 1907 work, Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, is recognized as a foundational piece that utilized stylized fragmented figures inspired by African tribal art. Second is Georges Braque. Working in a close laboratory partnership with Picasso, Braque focused heavily on the geometric underlying structures of objects. Together, they pushed the boundaries of fragmentation between 1908 and 1914 until the subject matter often became nearly unrecognizable. The influential proponents. One Cruz, known for a more calculated and mathematical style of Cubism. He was a leading figure in synthetic Cubism, often incorporating flatter shapes and more vibrant colors than the early experimental works of Picasso and Braque. Fernand Léger, he continued a unique machine aesthetic to the movement. His work often utilized tubular, cylindrical shapes, sometimes called Cubism, to reflect the energy of the modern industrial age. Robert Delaunay, he moved Cubism toward Urbism, which focused on the use of bright, overlapping colors and geometric patterns to create a sense of rhythm and life. Jean Metzinger, a key theorist and painter, he co-authorized CUBISM, the first major treatise on the movement. His work helped bridge the gap between the experimental studio work of Picasso Braque and the public exhibition of the time. Albert Gleis, along with Metzinger, he was a primary theoretical voice for the movement. He was instrumental in organizing the first collective public showings of Cubist art, helping the world understand the revolutionary fragmentation of objects.
First, painting, especially oil and canvas, was the main medium. Artists like Picasso and Braque used geometric shapes and fragmented forms to represent subjects from multiple viewpoints. Second, collage, or mixed media, became popular during synthetic cubism. Artists combined materials like newspaper, paper, and fabric to create layered compositions. Cubism also expands into sculpture, where artists explored three-dimensional geometric forms. Lastly, printmaking and graphic arts helped spread Cubist artists to a wider audience and showed how flexible the style was across different media.
Here's our references.